Donald Trump is the presumptive GOP nominee, and he continues to jump in the polls against Hillary Clinton. A new Fox News poll shows more Americans trust Trump to do a better job than Hillary Clinton on the issue that's really guiding the election, the economy. However, Clinton tops Trump in other key areas, including foreign policy and nuclear weapons. But all in all, Americans say they really aren't that happy with either candidate. The race for the White House is our topic this half hour. We want to hear from you. Weigh in on our Fox 26 Facebook page. You can also do so on Twitter. Just use the hashtag Fox26for life. Joining us live in the newsroom again is our panel, led by our senior legal analyst, Chris Tridico. We have the former chair of the Harris County Republican Party, Jared Woodfill, and former Congressman and attorney, Chris Bell. So a pretty good week all in all for Donald Trump. He got the NRA endorsement. Some are saying that he's now leading Clinton in the polls for the general. What do you make of the latest twists and turns?
Well, I'm really stunned that the NRA backed Donald Trump over Hillary Clinton. It was a nail biter. I think it was down to the wire. I really don't think anybody expected that. Did you?
I was shocked. Shocked, I tell you.
Yeah, this jump in the polls for Donald Trump, I think, is a little bit misleading, because the Republicans are now finished with their nominating process, with their primary process, and so now they're coalescing around their candidate, while the Democrats still have a primary process going on. And so I think that once they Bernie Sanders finally finishes his quest and the Democrats begin to coalesce, Chris Bell, you're going to see a jump for Hillary Clinton, and you'll see a change in the polls.
Well, you will, and there really, if you look at Real Clear Politics and see the breakdown of the polling, there hasn't been much of a change, and Hillary Clinton still leads in almost every battleground state. She's in a very strong position with the groups that she needs to be in a strong position in order to win. So I don't think that fear is setting in on the Democratic side at this point just because of one Fox News poll.
Donald Trump.
It should be, though. It should be.
Well, I mean, Donald Trump did have a good week. I mean, there was the poll came out. He did get the no surprise, he got the NRA.
I think he would say he had a terrific week, a really fantastic terrific.
The thing about the NRA endorsement, though, in his speech, he gave a speech, this great Second Amendment speech that was 180 degrees from what he said 2 years ago about the Second Amendment.
Well, and what's also interesting about the NRA endorsement is how early it's come out, because you remember with respect to Romney, it was held back for a little bit. Right. So he got it earlier than Romney had it won. Secondly, I think Donald Trump is someone you never count out. I mean, you look at the Republican primary and see where he was from the beginning. Right. Thirdly, we've got a Democratic primary that is very divisive and is going into a convention that's likely to be bloody at best. And so I think Hillary's going to come out of there bruised and battered, which is only going to help Donald Trump. And I think Donald Trump is going to continue to project a message that resonates with Americans and look to grow his base going into November. And that's
Jared,
what we're seeing reflected in the polls.
Look how quickly this goes away. I mean, the Republican primary was brutal, and then now that Donald Trump is the presumptive nominee, even people like you are trying to act like you like him. And so, you know, that's what's going to happen on the Democratic side as well. Once as Chris was pointing out in the beginning, once you actually have a nominee, people start coming together rather quickly.
In fact, when Hillary Clinton was running against Barack Obama at this time of the year then, it was more contentious between the two of them than it is between.
I don't know if it would be. I don't know if I'd agree with that in terms of being more contentious. I mean, if you look at the Sanders supporters and what's happening in conventions like Nevada, I mean, you're seeing almost an outright brawl. I mean, yeah, you had Barack and Hillary battling it out, but I never saw them almost throwing punches at each other. And so I think it's a lot more divisive this time than it was that time. It's going to be harder for the Democratic Party to come together behind a candidate.
Than the Republicans have been having?
Well, at this point in time, you're seeing Republicans starting to come together.
Let me go to Sally. She's monitoring our social media.
Yeah, and the social media really reflects that many Americans are not really happy with either of these candidates. Taking a look at this tweet here. She says, I've tried so hard to stay away from the political posts this season, but can't resist. And the picture there is, if Trump and Hillary are stranded on a boat in the middle of the ocean, who survives? America. America survives, is what she says. And then this person says, for me, election 2016 comes down to national security issues and the Supreme Court. What about you?
Well, that's that first one was pretty funny. That second one is fairly important. I mean, that second one hits it right on the head, doesn't it?
Well, and I think that plays to the benefit of Hillary Clinton. When people really sit back and determine who they want leading the country, she has the experience to lead the country. She would have more foreign policy experience than any president in the modern era, and given the world we find ourselves in right now, that's rather important.
Well, I think that last tweet that we saw, or that post, was very important in the sense that we're looking at who the next Supreme Court justices will be. And I think Donald Trump this week identified a few folks that he would consider appropriate to serve as Supreme Court justices, which I think are folks that most Republicans look at and like. And that's going to be good in bringing the party together.
One of which has been openly hostile to Donald Trump.
Well, and you've got one, Don Willett, who's from Texas, Texas Supreme Court justice, who we would love to see there.
Who's been openly hostile to Donald Trump, though.
Yeah, well, I think if he was chosen
but like Jared,
Court, that would change.
He's coming around.
Look, primaries are rough. We all know primaries are rough. And so now's a chance for folks to come together.
So you made a point, and I want y'all both to address this. You know, these polls right now are way too soon. But what I see happen every presidential election is we look at national polls when a president is elected state by state. And if you look at state by state, doesn't Hillary Clinton have the edge?
Yes. And every expert agrees with that.
Well, the question is, who is coming from the Democratic side to vote Republican this time, and who are the new voters that are going to be brought out? And so that's what I think is the unanswered question that will determine who will win.
And we can't tell really until about a month before the election.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, we got to leave it right there. We'll be back next week, wrapping up the hottest stories of the week.
All right, we'll see you all then. Thanks so much.